right, what's going on? Happy double pump Saturday. 750 cubic meters in here today. They got the 56 meter, Mikey on the 56 over there, and Jag on the 39 over here. And that wire, the wire that we're booming over, that is a communications cable telephone wire. We are permitted to boom over those. Those are not high voltage wires. They're not even low voltage wires. They are communications wires. So a nice big swamp mat's down, stroking away. I think service has been pretty good. They started here about, it's 11 a.m. now. They started pouring at 7, so 4 hours ago. Looks like we're 2/3 of the way done. Over halfway for sure anyhow, so. Listen to that sound. Slapping of the pipes. A little bit of boom pump therapy. It's a beautiful thing. A little bit of a break in the action here. Interesting tidbit about this pour, because Mike is short rigged, so his passenger side front outrigger is fully retracted. That limits his boom range to being basically in line with this fully extended front outrigger, which means he misses the corner of this slab. So that last little bit Jag will have to get, so I would assume that Jag is going to finish this pour out. Interesting note, coming very soon, I think later this year or early 25, the 56 meter Putzmeister will be available with the full flexible support option. I had some videos on this where I touched on it and covered it before. Maybe I'll post some links for them up here somewhere or in the description. What that'll do is, if we can get even a partial extension on that non-working side leg, on the passenger side front leg, it'll open up room for us to get more working range. So things like the corner of this slab, in this situation with how far we're reaching, we would be able to get it. A lot of it is dependent on if your A section is vertical or not. With A section vertical and the legs partially extended, the working ranges are quite astonishing with that system. So anyhow, just a little tidbit, but something really cool. Looking forward to seeing in the future. Obviously would love to have one in our fleet. Our 58 meter, which is getting a little bit long on the tooth. All these years we've always said we can never replace it just because it has that slewing front outrigger, which opens up a lot of short rig options. Well, with the 56 now coming available with the full flex system, it may be finally the time where there is a suitable replacement for it. Who knows? Lots of money. So that's kind of the main hurdle. But they say you got to spend money to make money, or spend money to lose money, or I don't know, a lot of different ways to look at it. But anyhow, full flex is good. Would love to have one. And I think on a 56 it would be awesome, just because of the situations this pump is in. A lot of times it's reaching vertical and just a little bit horizontal. That's where that full flex system really shines. It opens up a ton of options in that regard. So it would be the king of downtown Vancouver streets. A big boom with that system, in my opinion. You'll see both these guys have 4.5 inch whip hoses on. Generally, we don't get into running 5 inch. As you can see, even on today, in our area, we just typically don't get the supply to be putting down, 130 meters an hour. So the 4.5 inch is completely sufficient. We also found with our mud, using a 4.5 versus a 5, the maximum output, it really doesn't change. It's a very negligible difference, maybe to the tune of like 5 meters an hour. Running the 4.5 also just makes it way easier on the hose guy, especially on the top-up pass. It's a lot less splashy, a lot easier for him to push that hose around. So 4.5 is our go-to. The 5-inch hoses, the handful that we do have in our yard, they probably get used twice a year. 4.5s we use regularly. So I'm sure there's certain markets where the 5 inch is an advantage. It's market specific, but for our market, you just don't see a lot of 5-inch hose. Now, if I get this on camera, everybody's gonna ask for free hats and stickers, so I might edit it. There you go. I don't want to break your concentration. Hey, he's actually kind of full, but not too full. So you didn't do that. No, I was gonna take the hat back. Have you ever mentioned before how freaking smooth these closed loop pump kits are? Oh man. Let's see what he's probably pouring 90 meters an hour, I would bet right now. Let's see. Just cruising along. Probably about 1400 RPM, which is nice. You don't have to wind them out. 10-inch material cylinders, so less strokes per minute. I will say there are some benefits to 9-inch material cylinder when you're pumping a crummy mixer through a bunch of hose, but for wide open slab work like this, the 10s are definitely a benefit. Yeah, that's what I was saying about the short rig on this pump. Compared to our 58, where the Outrigger slews out, you can drop it right beside the front bumper, and it allows you to go flat out off the cab. This one doesn't have that, but with that full flex system, it will extend the range that we have here. So I think it'll be a really, really cool thing. What's your RPM at? I was guessing 1400. What's your RPM at? 1200. 1200. Wow. So almost 90 meters an hour, cruising along, 1200 RPM. Now I will say those electronic meter per hour readouts are not super accurate. I'm going to say it's probably more like 75 meters an hour. See how smooth it is? You don't get the lines jumping and surging. I don't know that there is a smoother pump kit out there, and this is the older style. They now have the ILS pump kit, which doesn't use proximity switches, it uses sensing rods. So not only with the prox switch pump kit, it knows when the cylinder has reached the end of the stroke. With the sensing rods, it knows exactly where that piston is within its length of travel at all times. So I believe what that does, and don't quote me on this, it allows the machine to anticipate the stroke change and time it with precision as such that it's a lot smoother and eliminates any of the surge and the boom bounce, or a lot of it anyhow. Oh yeah, I'll insert a little video clip here. This pump, those bolts look kind of new. Because they are. A little tough to see, but two of the bolts had actually broken off and were just sitting in there loosely, and Mike caught it on his inspection. Two of the bolts had fastened the drive cylinders, so luckily we caught that before any major damage was done. But got them all replaced. I think that was Gestaldo Concrete, the service center, that did that for us. So Big shout out, big thanks to them for the quick repair. Everybody in the comments, give Mike shit about his greasy turn. I always give him a hard time about that. The rest of the pump from the belt line down is pretty clean. He always leaves his pedestal so greasy. Now granted, I find these boom greasers grease more than we'd like them to, so it's constantly making a mess. On the pedestal, on the boom, all over the place. Maybe a subtle hint, Mike's Christmas bonus will be a scraper and a can of brake clean. But the rest of the pump is clean. He does a good job. I just like to give him a hard time. Wasn't lying. Sounds like we got a wetter load in the pump now, so I bet we're up over 90 meters an hour. It's a beautiful thing. The other thing I should mention about that, this thing just sips fuel compared to our 58, which is a 16 cell, and it runs at quite a bit higher RPM when it's pumping at this speed. Actual pumping, this thing is at least 20% more fuel efficient than our older 58, so multiple benefits. This is lovely. The engine just died on this thing.
Today, no Outrigger. So
was it running off the Outrigger tank?
No, it's on the chassis today. I'm not running on the Outrigger.
Oh, on the saddle tank.
I don't want to. I just.
And it still died?
I think I pressed the.
Oh man.
While putting it down, I meant to do it like.
Oh. Hey, did you check the handbrake switch on the doghouse? Remember last time? Do you see what I see? You see where that handbrake is? Push it forward just a little bit. Every time we come out here.
When it's Saturday?
Yeah. It's always an eerie feeling when the pump goes silent in the middle of a 700 meter pour. Not a good one. Not a good feeling. Safety sling strategically positioned for an extra 0.27 meters of horizontal reach. I swear that was on purpose. Here's where we do something that my 44-year-old knees will regret approximately 14 to 16 hours from now. Yeah, oh, stuntman, you just gotta collapse at the knees when you come down. We'll check back in more, let you know how it worked out for me. Beautiful thing. 100 meters an hour at 1250 RPM. I bet you the fuel savings alone would cover the payment on a brand new 56. And the ILS pump kit's supposed to be even more efficient than this one. But you've run the 58, it just eats fuel. Disgusting. It is. What it does to our carbon footprint is disgusting. But no, it does. It just chews through fuel when you're pumping. You dare me to parkour off of this? It's all about, you just gotta collapse at the knees when you come down. I'll show you, watch. Okay, I hit the stop button on the camera as I touched down on the ground. But it was beautiful, and I lived to tell the story. And I'm pretty sure the site safety guy was right across the street watching me. I will go hide now. As predicted, the site safety guy just kindly informed me that at my age I shouldn't be jumping off stuff like that. I replied with, if I don't do stuff like that, that's when my body falls apart. I gotta keep moving, keep the machine moving. So when you get old, if you don't keep it moving, it gets seized up and rusty and creaky. That's when stuff starts breaking. Although I think in this case he's completely right, so yeah, there's that too. This one too, smooth as glass. And obviously she switched back to low pressure. I had my previous video where we switched the lines around for doing a 47-story high-rise. We don't run it like that through the boom because that would not be safe. So, when I was talking earlier about the smoothness of this Putzmeister pump kit, or these Putzmeister pump kits, interestingly enough, apparently a 38 meter LeBaer XXT demo has landed in Washington, just south of us, about an hour south. So I'm hoping to get down there in the next week or two and check that out. I've never seen a LeBaer pump before in person, so I'm really curious to see how they are. I've heard they're really smooth. I know they do not run an accumulator, which will be interesting. Interesting to me. I've never really been around a pump other than like an old Schwing 1200 that didn't have an accumulator. So, but yeah, really looking forward to that. I've heard nothing but good things, so I'm anticipating big things. We shall see. And in case you hadn't noticed, this is a detachable placing boom. The cool thing about this one, rather than having the pipe that runs up the center of the pedestal and having to mess around with the clamp inside the pedestal when you detach the boom from the truck and reattach to the placing boom mast, the pipe is external. Super easy to get at. You just pop the clamp here, undo the nuts on this side, undo the nuts on that side, and this here, come around to the other side, slides right on up out of here. If I have a little clip, I'll insert it right now. But yeah, thankfully this thing is back on the pump unit here, on the truck unit, indefinitely. We had a real shortage in that mid-size, mid-boom size range, kind of the 36 to 40 meter range. It's a big help having this back because we have a lot of work for this size range right now. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes all of our work is placing boom. Sometimes it's a lot of line pump work. Sometimes it's big boom. Right now it's a lot of mid-size boom. So that is one nice thing about this. It's got the flexibility to transition back and forth between the two. And when this is on a placing boom, typically we have enough work to keep just the truck unit busy because it's also a high pressure pump. So I do wish there was a way of limiting the pressure so that we could just keep it switched over to piston side, to high pressure side, and just turn a key switch or turn down a relief valve rather than having to switch the lines around. That would be super handy, because even on piston side, it still is like 100 meters an hour output, which is totally sufficient for 98% of the work that we do. We would just leave it on piston side and limit it. Would make our lives a little bit easier, but just one of my wishes on my extensively long wish list. So it's another one of those situations where that Dyka level right pad, the adjustable leveling pad, would be perfect. You can see we could try and shim that up with like a 2x4 and a strip of 1x2 or whatever, but even at that, you never end up perfectly level. You end up with a gap under the pad. I'm not really concerned about it here because of the size of the dunnage pad that we're on, and the ground is basically rock hard to begin with. These pads are more for the bigger pumps. Totally overkill on this thing, but we'll take it. But to be able to just level that pad up quickly and easily would be a beautiful thing. Hoping to get my hands on one of those very, very soon. I don't know if they're in production yet, but as soon as they are, I want to be first in line to get one. See some real pipe slapping action from Mike's pump. I gotta go check this out. What do you think? What do you think? I'm betting 120 meters an hour now, based on the surge in the pipeline. What do we got? Let's see how good or not good I am. Yeah, not that good apparently. Funny, when these 56 meter pumps first came out around 2014, and everybody complained about how bouncy they were, how bouncy they are. Well, they're trying to run them for the most part like a roll and fold, which, yeah, if you try and do that with these lightweight booms, especially these Z booms, no bueno. But as long as you're mindful of the boom position with this thing, it's extremely smooth. There are a couple little positions throughout their range or reach of range, or whatever you want to call it, where it can get a little bit bouncy, but you learn to work around it. But overall, I think it's just as smooth as any other pump we have when operated mindfully and correctly. Anyhow, all that being said, 150 meters to go here, something like that. I'm going to skedaddle. These guys are in very capable hands. I'm just the coffee boy today, so. But you know how it goes. Keep on pumping. Till next time. Over and out.